Hi everyone, my name is Lauren. I'm coming to you live from Essex Market, and this is Snack and Story in partnership with the Seward Park Public Library. So today on Snack and Story, we're going to hear from Andrew Fairweather, lead librarian over at the Seward Park Library, and he's going to read an amazing story to us that celebrates the Jewish history of the Lower East Side. Then we're going to come back to Essex Market and I'm going to prepare for you a delicious honey cake. So now we're going to head over to the library and hear this story from Andrew.
Hello, my name is Andrew. I'm a librarian at the Seward Park Branch Library, and it's a pleasure to read to you today. The Seward Park Branch Library was opened in 1909 and is one of the largest Carnegie branches in the entire New York Public Library system. It was the most expensive of the buildings to build. The second floor is entirely for children. Books, DVDs, music, whatever you want, you'll find it on the second floor. Today we'll be reading What Zeesie Saw on Delancey Street by Elsa Ocon-Rail, illustrated by Marjorie Perlman. Tonight, Mama, really? May I go with you and Papa? Yes, this very night on her 7th birthday, Zeesie was going to her first package party. Standing in front of the mirror, Zeesie climbed into her brand new blue taffeta dress for the first time. She and Mama had gone all the way uptown to a big store, S. Klein on the Square on 14th Street. And if this weren't exciting enough, Buba and Zeta had given Zeesie $1 to celebrate her special day. A whole dollar bill, all to herself. Zeesie carefully folded the birthday dollar into a little square and tucked it into her pocket of her new dress. She dreamed of how she would spend it. On the tin of 20 colored pencils, on the 2nd Avenue songbook, perhaps she could even buy something at the package party, just as all the grown-ups would do. Each family at the package party would bring a wrapped surprise package of homemade food to be sold at an auction. Earlier in the day, Zeesie had helped Mama bake her famous apple cake by sprinkling raisins on apple slices. And she even helped Mama wrap the package, filled with pickled herring, barley soup, flanken, pierogan, tzimez, cornbread with charnishka seeds, and fresh pears with brown paper and a ball of green twine. Zeesie sang Shane Vidi Levone as she braided her long auburn hair and smiled at her reflection. Oh, how very grown up she felt. It was still light when Zeesie began the journey from Cannon Street to Delancey, and Zeesie skipped ahead of her parents. At Stanton Street, Mama paused at Mr. Singer's tailor shop window, where countless spools of thread in every color imaginable were piled high. "Let's go, Mama!" Zeesie tugged at Mama's sleeve. At Rivington Street, where Zeesie usually stopped to visit the birds in the chicken yard, she did not even wave. "Not tonight!" she called out, turning into Delancey Street. Zeesie breezed by the fancy Loews Delancey, probably the biggest movie theater in the whole world, which charged 10 cents admission. How many movies could she see for $1? She wondered with awe. "Delancey!" Zeesie cheered when she saw the street sign. "We're almost there, aren't we, Papa?" Delancey Street was windy with a breeze blowing in from the river. After one more block, they arrived at the linen store. Zeesie charged up the stairs to the rented hall above, where the bouncy music of the klezmorim welcomed her. Zeesie came to a halt at the top of the stairs. She was in a grand ballroom. There were tables covered with cloths, party streamers, balloons, and little sparkling lanterns blinking on and off. On a little stage where wrapped packages towered like a wealth of birthday gifts, a jolly klezmer band was playing A Bissel Liebe und a Bissel Glück under a sign that read, "Welcome, the Bavora Society." Dancing couples swirled to the sprightly music. It was like a birthday party fit for a princess. Suddenly, Zeesie was lifted high into the air and twirled about. Max Mendelssohn, Papa's best friend, always did that to her. "Not tonight," she squealed. "I'm 7 years old now, Max." Cousin Sheldon appeared from behind Max. Without even a hello, he grabbed Zeesie's arm and pulled her to the crowd. "Look what we bought," he boasted, flashing shiny new braces on his teeth, and 100 million freckles as he pointed out to the largest package on the stage. "Ours is bigger," Zeesie said proudly. "And you know what?" she whispered, pulling him closer. "I might even buy one of these packages tonight. I have a whole dollar bill." She pulled it out, and Cousin Sheldon's eyes widened. "Come now, Zeesie," Zeesie heard Mama call out. "You're sitting over here with me, Papa, Uncle Yossi, and Tante Trina. The auction is about to begin." To great musical fanfare, Max Mendelssohn hopped on stage. "Welcome, Landslide, members of the Zebavora Society," he said. "We gather once more for a good time and a time to do good. The money we raise tonight will help bring over more of our loved ones from Zaborov to this wonderful America. So be ready to open your hearts and your pockets and be generous." Zeesie laughed as Max picked up the first package and pretended to stagger from its weight. "Oh, that's got to be some kind of cement kugel in here," he bantered. "Do we have a lot of big spenders in the crowd? Good! Then let's start with, say, 50 cents? Several voices shouted, 50 cents! "Do I hear 75? Do I hear $1? Zeesie placed her hand on the folded dollar bill in her pocket. $1.50, shouted a high bidder. When Max held up a folded shopping bag, Papa bid high, hoping it was Mrs. Hirsch's. With Papa's bid of $2.25, Max shouted, "Sold!" to the father of the birthday girl, the most beautiful little lady in the room. Zeesie beamed as applause scattered across the hall. Papa had guessed right. The package was Miss Hirsch's, and it contained his favorite eggplant salad. For Mama, there were roast chicken wings, and for Zeesie, a small bag of warm arbas, salted and peppered just the way she liked them. Next, Uncle Yossi's bid bought a parcel beautifully wrapped in gift paper with pictures of lilacs. Zeesie looked at the pretty package longingly. "Would you like to open it, Zeesie?" Uncle Yossi invited. Zeesie untied the bow, removed the paper, and lifted the lid of the shoebox slowly. It's Uncle Yossi, it's a brick!" she gasped. Uncle Yossi rubbed his chin. "So it is, Zeesie. I can't believe I paid $2 for a brick." The people at the next table laughed heartily. "Why would anyone do such a mean thing?" Zeesie cried out indignantly. "It's only a joke," Papa reassured her. "There's plenty of food for everyone here." From all over the room, teasing friends and family began to bring food from their tables and pile it in front of Uncle Yossi. Soon there was more food before Uncle Yossi and Tante Trina than they could possibly eat. Zeesie laughed and slid an extra portion of warm arbas over to her own plate. As they ate, Mr. Marcus, the candy store man, came to their table and tapped Papa on the shoulder. "It's your turn, Chaim," he said. Papa nodded and rose. "Where are you going, Papa?" Zeesie asked. "Into that room," he replied, pointing to a door. "What's in there?" Papa didn't answer. "I'll only be gone a minute," he reassured Zeesie. "May I go with you?" she asked, not wanting to miss a thing. "No, it's not permitted. I must go alone." Zeesie watched Papa walk to the door. He knocked and waited a moment, and then entered, clicking the door shut behind him. Zeesie's eyes never left the door. Why couldn't she go too? She was old enough now to know about grown-up things. When Papa came out and returned to the table, he tapped Uncle Yossi's shoulder. It was his turn now. "Tell me what's behind that door," Zeesie begged. "Papa, please." "Well, dear Zeeskite," Papa began, behind that door is a special room. We call it the money room. Only men go in, one at a time. There, if a man has money to give, he leaves it. If he needs money, he takes it, but only as much as he needs. No one is supposed to know who has given or who has received. And, this is the most important to know, it's as much a mitzvah, a good deed, to take when you need as to give when you can. Did you give, Papa, or did you take? Papa laughed. That, my precious one, is a question never to be asked or answered. Never. A money room? Maybe it was filled with treasure chests and gold, coins and jewels and diamonds. Oh, why couldn't she see inside? Just one little look. A tiny peek. If only she could see just once. What would happen, she wondered, if she dared to sneak in? If she were caught there? Would Mama angrily send her home to bed? Would Papa take away her birthday dollar? Her throat felt dry at the thought. And yet, she was 7 years old now. Could she? Would she? Did she dare? Zeesie rose from her chair. I'm going to visit Cousin Sheldon, she mumbled, to whoever would hear. Everyone was chuckling at Uncle Yussie, who had just returned from the money room to find even more food at his table than when he'd left. Zeesie gulped. She would have to slip by so many people to get over to that door with a tarnished brass knob. She plotted her path and cautiously threaded her way. At any moment, she expected to hear her name shouted out, calling her back to her seat. Her heart thumped as she arrived at the door. The money room was empty, she knew, because she'd been watching it. Had anyone been watching her? She turned and scanned the room. No one had noticed where she'd gone. She clenched the cold knob in her hand. It must be now, now, now! She turned the knob and slid into the room. Where were the treasure chests filled with gold, coins, and jewels? Zeesie looked around at a damp, dark room with an unshaded light bulb hanging over a small, rickety table. She saw stacks of old newspapers tied with rope near a far wall, and a broken chair in the corner missing a seat. On the table, an old metal cash box with slots for coins and a section for bills barely gleamed under a harsh light. Suddenly, Zeesie caught her breath. Tap, tap, tap. Someone was at the door. Zeesie dashed into the dark corner between the newspapers and the wall as the door opened. Her skin prickled as a man approached the table. Had she been seen? She looked to see, and uh-oh, it was Max Mendelssohn. Zeesie hid her eyes. Papa had said no one should ever see such things, but it was too late. Max hadn't seen her. Zeesie heard Max carefully count out $8 bills from the box and then recount them as he whispered a prayer in Hebrew. Max Mendelssohn. Jolly, funny, beloved old Max. It's a mitzvah to take when you need, Papa had also said. Zeesie heard Max's need in his prayer, and it brought hot tears to her eyes, but she dared not breathe until he pocketed the money and left. Zeesie knew she was where she should not have been, and had seen what she should not have seen. As Zeesie emerged from her hiding place, she took the dollar bill from her pocket, unfolded it, and placed it on top of the other bills. None of this ever could be told, she knew, remembering Papa's words. No one ever, ever must know. But she wasn't safe, not yet. She still had to make her way back to the table. Zeesie opened the door a crack and peeped out into the brightly lit room. No one was looking this way. No one had seen. But the next visitor to the money room would soon be on his way. Zeesie pressed her eyes shut and darted out into the party. halfway back to the table, Zeesie was just beginning to feel safe when Tante Trina's voice rang out sharply. "Zeesie, there you are!" Zeesie's knees grew weak. "Where were you? I was looking everywhere." She grabbed Zeesie's hand and tugged her along to the stage. In a daze, Zeesie found herself trembling before a microphone. What was happening? Did everyone know what she had done? Oh no, please no! "Don't be nervous, little darling. They're going to love you, I promise." Smiling, Tante Trina turned to the audience and announced, "My Zisla Nisla makes her debut with me tonight as we sing Shine Vi di Levone. Maestro, if you please." They didn't know. No one knew. Zeesie heaved a deep sigh of relief and sang. She sang strongly, sweetly, surely. At the end, everyone stood asking for more. Encore, encore! Afterward, Max Mendelssohn came to the stage and twirled Zeesie in the air to the cheers of the crowd and then carried her back to her family. "I see that the birthday girl is not only beautiful but very brave too, right, Chaim?" he said to Papa. At first, Zeesie was uncomfortable, remembering what she had seen in the money room. "I'll never do anything like that again," she thought. But when she saw the amount of food on the table, knishes, a whole chicken, honey cake, gefilte fish, pickled beets, salad, soup, meatballs, mandelbrot, kishka, sauerkraut, rugelach, pickled watermelon rind, knockwurst, she burst out laughing. Mama offered Zeesie the forgotten arbez. "Where were you, Zeesie?" she asked. Zeesie smiled. "I was hunting for treasure, Mama." "Well, I hope you found it," she said, and added with a hug, "for I found mine in you. Happy birthday, Zisla." Her birthday, yes. She thought about the day, that incredible day, as she ate the arbez one by one. As for her birthday dollar, she knew it had been perfectly spent, and no one would ever knew if she had given or if she had taken. The end. Let's send things back to Lauren at Essex Market.
Wow, what an amazing story, Andrew. I learned so much from Zeesie. Thank you for reading that to us. So now we're gonna do the snack part of our snack and story, and I'm gonna make for you Mama's honey cake. All right, so the first thing we have to do to prepare for our honey cake is get our loaf pan ready. So this is my mom's loaf pan, and what I need to do is grease it so that it's really easy to get the cake out at the end. So I'm gonna spray it with some non-stick spray. And then I'm gonna dump a little bit of flour in there. And we just wanna move that flour around the pan so that it's coating all the sides. Okay, and you can dump out any excess right back into that bowl. Perfect, so let's put that to the side. All right, so when I'm baking, I like to separate the wet and the dry ingredients, and I bet Mama would do the exact same thing. So let's start with our dry ingredients. I have 2 cups of flour here, and then I have some baking soda, some baking powder, and a little bit of salt. We're gonna go ahead and dump that right in, and then give it a good whisk. Okay, you can put those to the side for now. Next, let's work on those wet ingredients. Okay, so let's go ahead and crack those eggs into our big bowl. And then you can pour in your ½ cup of sugar. Now, grab a mixer. You can do this by hand, but you're really gonna get an arm workout. So let's go ahead and grab this big mixer. And we wanna mix the eggs and the sugar until they get nice and thick and sort of a light yellow color. All right. Ooh, see how thick that is? So that's gonna take probably 2 to 3 minutes, so be patient. Now just one more mixing thing and we're ready to put it all together. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna do half a cup of honey. It is a honey cake after all. 1.5 tablespoons of what Mama calls salad oil. I took that to mean some extra virgin olive oil. We're gonna do 1 teaspoon each of vanilla extract and lemon extract. The lemon extract is gonna give it a really bright, citrusy flavor. And then finally, 1/3 a cup of freshly brewed coffee from our coffee vendor, Puerto Rico, of course. So let's give that a really good stir. I can already smell the lemon and the coffee, the sweetness from the honey. I can tell it's gonna be delicious. All right, so just mix that around until the honey has dissolved a little bit into that coffee. And now what we can do is pour that honey mixture right into our eggs and our sugar. All right, so let's mix all of these things together. These are our 2 wet ingredients. And we're just gonna stir it until it's all combined. Okay, so once you've seen everything is really well mixed, that's when we go back to those dry ingredients and we slowly add the dry ingredients. So you add just a little bit at a time and then mix that in. The reason is we want to make sure we mix it really evenly. No one wants to bite into a cake that has patches of flour in it, right? So we mix this really well and we do it just a little bit at a time. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like when it's fully mixed. See, there are no pieces of dry ingredients left. So let's grab our loaf pan and we're going to pour the batter carefully into our loaf pan. All right, so I'm gonna put this in an oven that's set to 325 degrees Fahrenheit and it's gonna bake for 1 hour. All right, so our cake has been cooking for about an hour now. I've let it cool a little bit. Let's get it out of the pan. So you can grab an adult in your house and take a knife and just make sure that it hasn't stuck to the sides of your pan. And then we can carefully flip it out of our pan. Woo! Wow, looks and smells amazing. Let's just get it right side up. Wow, I can really smell the lovely lemon flavor too. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope to see you next time for Snack and Story with Seward Park Library.